Welcome to our W.E. Aubuchon at Home podcast series with John Haley. I'm pleased to be joined today by Rich Graham from Broil King. Rich, thanks for joining us at home, sponsored by Aubuchon Hardware.
Thanks for the invite, John. Glad to spend some time with you guys. Looking forward to a great chunk of time talking grilling.
Rich, where are you joining us from today?
I'm in St. Jacobs, Ontario. That's just outside Kitchener-Waterloo, and that's about an hour west of Toronto.
Well, we're so grateful to have you here today to go over some tips and tricks and go-to recipes for grilling. I see all three of your grills are warmed up and ready to go, so I was hoping you could just take a moment and tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself in relation to Broil King before we get into all that great tips and go-to recipes for grilling.
Certainly. I've been working for Broil King since 2003. Had more hair when I started, but it's been a heck of a ride so far, and I know way more about barbecue than I did when I walked in the door that day. A little bit of background on Broil King. We're a Canadian company. We build grills in Canada, the US, and we bring a huge assortment of product in from overseas when it comes to accessories. The grills that Aubuchon offers in gas are all made in North America. You know you're getting a quality product. It's going to perform. High heat, low heat, grilling in the winter, these things can do it all. So we're going to look at 3 easy recipes that are actually more like a technique. I want to show you how to grill effectively, and then you can add seasoning and spices as you go. And those 3 things are grilled chicken wings using a Broil King grill basket, really convenient, really easy way to do it. Grilled vegetable skewers, really easy complement to a great grilled steak. And getting to the grilled steak, we're going to show you how to grill the perfect steak.
We had a meeting with Tim Bordeaux several weeks ago regarding the manufacturing of those beautiful grills behind you. And there was quite a few comments regarding the grill itself, the surfaces, the grates. And so between the steaks and your vegetables, maybe you could just touch point on that just for a moment about those various grates that are available by Broil King.
Certainly. In the whole Broil King line, you'll see some with cast iron. We've shifted largely to stainless steel in recent years. And the Baron series grills that are available at Aubuchon have heavy stainless steel cooking grids in them. They retain heat fabulously. They're very durable. They don't require a lot of maintenance. The majority of Aubuchon's lineup has heavy duty stainless steel cooking grids. Stainless is great. It's easy to maintain, gives you great searing power, and you get fabulous cooking results from them.
Okay, well, Rich, let's get into those grills and let us know where you want to start off with some of your suggestions to get started for our summertime cooking.
All right, let's take a look. So I've been preheating my Regal. The Baron, I've been cooking chicken wings for a while. So this is a Broil King grill basket with a removable handle. Slide the locking collar down, and your chicken wings are way more portable than trying to move them around with tongs. So
that's a very convenient apparatus right there.
Handle comes off, it's back on. What I'm doing to cook here, I have the 2 outside burners on low. That gives me 300 degrees or so. And the 2 middle burners are off. So the airflow is around what you're cooking. That's a basic grill technique. That's called indirect cooking, where the heat is not directly under what you're cooking. Steaks, burgers, things like that, higher temperature cooking, that's direct grilling where you're cooking over an open flame and getting sear marks more than slow cooking and roasting.
So we're less apt to have a flame spark up off of the greases coming out of chicken from having that heat coming from both sides.
Keeps it cleaner. You can put a nice crisp on the skin. So one cheat that I use for chicken wings is if you put some baking powder in with your barbecue rub and do that a couple of hours before you grill, the baking powder actually changes the way the moisture works in the chicken wing, and you get a crispier skin on the wing. So you don't get rubbery wing.
That is great information.
And to go outside of sort of the Broil King canon of barbecuing, AmazingRibs.com is a fabulous resource for the more sciencey type of stuff. The baking powder hack is in there for sure. Other kind of basic tips and tricks: preheat your grill before you're cooking. So fire it up, know what temperature you want to cook at, and let the grill get there. Clean your grill before you cook, and that means you're not going to have any leftover food residue or flavor on the grill. Grill brushes is a hot button topic lately. This is a Palmyra brush. I've been using this since Super Bowl Sunday, and that's a natural wood fiber. Very abrasive, does a fabulous job of cleaning the grill. Like I said, under 400 degrees, this does a really, really good job. Very safe. If a bristle falls off, it burns up. So a couple of other options in grill brushes. This is a Palmyra fiber, but it's a twisted head style, triangle head, and lets you get into the corners of the grill really, really well. That's a common style. You'll see that with stainless bristle, nylon bristle, or the Palmyra wood fiber. And finally, this meets the new CSA standard for grill brushes too. Stainless bristle, it's much, much longer, and it's a heavier bristle diameter, so it's not going to be invisible when it falls off the grill.
Plus, you can get down in between those grates pretty thoroughly with that longer bristle for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That long handle, you have the wood scraper to get in on anything that's particularly sticky, and the silicone grime guard, so when you're cleaning the grill, it's not going to spray back onto your clothes.
Let me ask you a question, Rich. When it comes down to using these tools to clean our grates down, do you recommend our grates are warm to have ease of removal of food debris, or do we want to go with it cold?
It's going to be easier if it's warm. You'll see with the nylon bristle brushes, they're rated for 250 degrees and below. You don't want to melt the nylon, obviously. And the Palmyra bristle says 400 degrees and below. It's combustible, so you want to keep it below that temperature. The stainless is a little bit more forgiving. But a warm grill, all of those proteins that are stuck to the stainless grid, you heat them up and they relax a little bit. It's easier to clean. And the Regal here, and you have a decent shot of it there. This has been preheated. I cleaned it reasonably well when I finished grilling on it. You don't want to leave food on the grill, but you don't want to strip all the oils off there either. So preheat it, brush it down, and you can see a little bit of smoke coming off, but this grill is pretty clean to begin with. So we've brushed the grill down, cleaned everything off. I have a pump oil sprayer here. This just has olive oil in it, and I'm going to spray that down. You want the cooking grids to look nice and dark and moist from all the oil. It's going to keep your food from sticking. It's going to protect the grids.
I love that tip, Rich, about putting the vegetable oil on that grate. I didn't use it for the longest time. And then we watched one of the cooking shows, and I saw they were putting the oil on a rag onto the grate. And we've been doing that ever since. And the food seemed to release a lot easier off the grate, less sticking or tearing to the skin. So great advice.
Yeah, it's a basic tip to make your life easier as a griller. One that's even simpler than that when it comes to cooking is if you're cooking anything that isn't being smoked, so 350 degrees and above, and you're not sure if the grill's hot enough, maybe your temperature gauge is gone, maybe it's a basic grill that doesn't have a temperature gauge on it. If you put something on the grill and it doesn't sizzle, it's not hot enough. Take it off, continue to preheat the grill, and put it back on when it sizzles.
Well, that's another great little tip and secret, isn't it? Just to make sure we get a little sizzle off that grill. But I want to step back just for 1 second about the temperature of turning on the grills and getting them up to temp before cooking. What would be your recommendation to bring a grill up to start our basic meat cooking? Not vegetables. That might be a little bit of a lower temperature, but what would be the average temperature you'd like to see us get our grills up to begin our fun?
You'd want to see at least 450 for most things. So this is at 400 degrees right now. If I'm grilling steaks, I like to go a bit higher than that. I'll go 450 or so. And in the last couple of years with chicken especially, I've realized to get a much better result at 350. You can cook chicken breasts at 425, but you're going to dry them out more. If you're at 350, that chicken's not going to dry out. It's going to be juicy, tender, delicious.
A little bit of a slower cook.
Exactly.
Nothing worse than dried out chicken, is there, Rich?
No flavor, extra chewy. Need lots of beverages to take care of that.
Well, Rich, speaking of beverages, I see you have some pretty interesting, neat drink holders there.
Certainly, that's one step up from the Baron grill to the Regal. The Baron has a folding shelf on it. We keep that design simple to make it foldable. The Regal, to step that design up, we have the condiment bins here. So I have my coffee from this morning, oil sprayer, I got a bottle of the steak marinade that I'm going to be using to grill steaks later on. Really handy to have all of those essentials available to use.
That surely makes using that grill a lot more convenient to have all those things readily available right at your side.
Definitely.
Great features.
The folding shelf on the Baron's nice if you have a smaller space to work with as well. So there is a trade-off to be had if you put the grill away for the winter, if you have it at the beach house, you save some space.
Does that unit right there that has those nice cup holders, do you have a searing element in the center of that, or is there one to the side?
That's a good question. We don't use an infrared burner or a sear burner in the body of our gas grills because they get very hot everywhere. You can get 700 degrees out of one of these without any effort, any conditions. It's going to happen.
And that kind of temperature, that's all you're going to need to be doing any searing at all.
Yeah, exactly. And we do make models with an infrared side burner. And these Baron grills are upgradable to add the infrared side burner. It's useful because you can put a killer sear on a giant steak, but on a gas grill, if it's in the body of the grill, it's either really hot or really, really hot. So you lose that control and you're monopolizing grill space.
Okay, great information as well. So that grill right there has plenty of temperature without requiring the infrared searing element. The Baron grill seems to have a lot of great features for a smaller deck or the backyard. It has a searing element as well as cooking grates, so you can both sear a steak or cook your chicken, burgers, or dogs all at the same time. Very convenient.
Yeah, the Baron series is the bread and butter of our grill lineup. You have a 3-burner platform that's a good accessible size. 4-burner is the average grill that we sell. That's the most common size. It's the right size for 2 people that might have 6 or 8 over to entertain once in a while, or family of 5. You can cook enough food on there for most folks. There is a 5-burner version of this platform as well, and it's that much wider again, gives you that much more space to use. This is 460 square inches. The 5-burner is 570. The 3-burner is 350 square inches. And that's the primary grilling surface. It doesn't include the warming rack.
As part of the decision-making process for homeowners, when they go in to look at the grills, you can look at the various sizes, all the various offerings, and the different manufacturers. And I'm always one of the guys looking for the biggest grill there is. And the fact of the matter is, if it's just my wife and I don't need the largest grill to feed a football team. So something like your Baron would be perfect for the smaller family.
Well, the 3-burner platform especially is a really good fit for that because you maintain all the features of a higher-end grill, but you're not throwing a bunch of money at a grill where you don't need the space. Because there's a lot of small grills out there that are poorly made. You want a smaller grill that's going to perform.
And we also already know that Broil King has an unmatched warranty on their products.
Absolutely. 15-year warranty, bumper to bumper, on the Baron, Regal, and Imperial series. And the Imperial series is a built-in program. Feel free to ask your folks at Avishon about those. They'll get in touch with us. We can build out an amazing program for you.
Yeah, that warranty in particular, there's a lot of folks who have their grills, you see them thrown out regularly on the side of the road, and not necessarily Broil Kings, but to invest in a Broil King, to have a 15-year warranty and have the varieties to choose from, this really is a great grill to look at. Great manufacturer.
Yeah, it's a solid product all the way around. I've always said my job's easier than the other guys because I know the grill is going to perform, it's going to last, and does a better job than nearly any grill that's on the market, especially in the $500 to $1,500 price point.
All right, Rich, you showed us that basket of wings. Still makes me a little hungry thinking about them. I wonder what's on your other grill right behind you. Did you have some vegetables cooking?
So let's talk about these Veggie Skewers. This is basic grilling. I'm using our Broil King dual prong skewer. You can see the dual stainless prongs there. That keeps the whatever's on there from spinning when it's on the skewer. So when you turn the skewer, you're turning everything at once. It's going to cook evenly, gives you a better result.
I love that. I've had them spin around me over the years. That's perfect.
And the stainless is nice because you're not burning up bamboo. Bamboo skewers work really, really well, but you burn through one or two of them and it's kind of annoying. We sell a pile of bamboo skewers as well, so don't get me wrong there. What I've done with these skewers is I've skewered common items on each skewer. These things all cook a little bit differently, and a nicely arranged kebab looks awesome, but you're gonna have a cooked mushroom and a raw bit of onion, and you're not getting a perfect bite on the plate. Doing it this way, you can serve a bit off of each skewer. Everybody's getting perfectly cooked vegetables.
Rich, that's another tremendous tip that you just offered our listening audience. I've been the one to put all the various items on the skewer and throw them on there and had exactly that happen. The mushroom was nice and tasty, but the green pepper was kind of crunchy. So I like the idea of keeping like products on those skewers so they can cook uniformly. What a great suggestion.
Yeah, we try to make it easy for you guys out there.
Well, that's a great tip to our listening audience. Put like products on your skewers so they can cook at the same time.
So this grill is just under 400 degrees. I'm going to turn that up slightly because I wanted to maintain that 400 degree area. I'm going to put these on the grill. Onions can go to the back. That doesn't particularly matter. That's just me being picky. And then asparagus. I haven't done asparagus on a skewer like this before, but I think it's going to work. If they get really soggy, you might have to scoop them with a turner to get off the grill.
I bet
means they're cooked.
I bet you that asparagus is going to be delicious.
I think so. It's in season right now in Ontario. Can't get enough of it.
Oh, you got to love it.
We've had chicken wings on the grill for about 90 minutes already. You saw that we turned them earlier with the Broil King grill basket. And that's just a really convenient way to do wings. You can do that with chicken pieces, drums and thighs, just load them all in there nicely. You can do that with veggies, fish. It's a really convenient way to get your food on the grill, especially if it's something that's small that you're going to have to do a lot of turning to make sure they cook evenly.
That was going to be one of the questions I was going to pose to you today was scallops and shrimp on a grill.
Oh,
so right
you're
there.
after my own heart here.
Yeah, so that's what we need right there is that basket in order to cook those seafood items correctly as well. Could you kindly tell us what the temperature is on that grill right now?
For the chicken wings, the temperature is just under 300 degrees, and I've been running that all morning. It's been pretty steady the whole morning.
So that's a slow, steady cook, so that meat will be nice and tender and it'll hold all of its juices as well.
Exactly. You want to keep the juices in, you want to crisp the skin, and get a perfect chicken wing out of it. The temperature is really important, and having that control with your grill is really important. That's the number one reason people replace a grill is having inconsistent temperature, hot and cold spots. You think you're getting one temperature, but you're getting another. You want to have that control because it gives you a better result.
One thing as a side note regarding that temperature and having uniform cooking, Tim did bring to our attention about the importance of cleaning the element itself. That spiders like to find their way in there and sort of block where the flames or the element is supposed to disperse the flames uniformly. So part of that maintenance starting the spring, making sure we've cleaned out anything in those heating elements so we have a nice even flow is another great idea for us to tell our listening audience to stay on top of those burners as well for uniform cooking.
Yeah, definitely. You want to do that kind of annual maintenance, inspect all the components of the grill, make sure they're solid, going to perform. And with the burners, you're right. You can have spiders get into the burners, build a nest, create a blockage. The benefit of buying a newer grill is we've designed our way around a lot of those problems where you're much less likely to have spiders finding their way into the burner tube.
Well, that will certainly help us down the road with our maintenance, knowing we have a different type of heating element there, so maybe prevent the spiders from getting in there. So more great information we're getting from you today, Rich. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have a Broil King, and we're Grill Pro accessories as well. And you can get what's called a Venturi Cleaning Kit. And it's a flexible cleaning brush that you can run down the burner tube and it'll clear any debris out of there. That's a great thing to have for annual maintenance. Even if it's just some dust and debris that's found its way in there, your burner is going to perform better in the long term.
Also, we'd like to advise our listeners that if you do have a grill that's outside uncovered, is to purchase a cover. Protect the grill from the elements. It helps with longer life.
Exactly. Protect your investment. The Broil King Exact Fit covers, you have a 3-year warranty on one version and a 5-year version on another. So you're spending $50 to $80 on a grill cover, and you're guaranteed that that cover is going to last you at least 3 years.
How many times have you purchased grill covers here or there, and they seem to just tear as soon as the wind hits them? So if we have a warranty on a cover for 3 or 5 years to protect the investment, it goes hand in hand. Highly suggested we get one of those covers to protect that wonderful grill.
Yeah, it's well worth it. It's going to keep the grill cleaner. I mentioned earlier I've been fighting a battle with birds. I've got a huge elm tree in my yard here. Keeping these grills covers means I can pull that cover off, fire the grill up. It's clean. It's good to go.
Okay, then I'm going to let you get right back to those grills now. I think you mentioned something about steak.
Yeah, I'm going to take a peek at the vegetables here first. I didn't season them at all, so I'm going to put some oil on them. So oil, then you would season with salt and pepper, or you can make a balsamic type dressing to put on them. Really easy dressing I made the other night that worked well with steak, roast potatoes, vegetable skewers just like this, is sour cream, squeeze of lemon juice, fresh chopped dill, salt and pepper. Really easy to do, just adds that rich, creamy flavor that's a great complement to the sweet, fresh, bright flavors of grilled vegetables.
And that's a
Just going
simple
to turn these guys.
That's a simple recipe too, Rich.
Yeah, it's kind of like I mentioned. It's not so much the recipe as is the technique.
That technique
but
of
complementary flavors are so important.
That technique of flipping that asparagus looked pretty good from here too.
It worked so far. I think as we get a little bit further down the road, I might have to get my super flipper out to collect them.
So all three of the grills that you're working with today, Rich, are they propane, LP, natural gas? Do you have any natural gas available there?
I'm working with propane. I don't have natural gas hookup on my house, but all of these are available in propane or natural gas. You'll see about $60 more at retail for natural gas. The reason that's more expensive is because you're putting more plumbing and piping into the grill.
They don't make an accessory or an adapter to convert an LP to a natural gas. It's a natural gas grill. Am I correct?
That's correct. So we talked for a second about the grill basket, how convenient that is. Scallops are one thing I always want to do on a solid surface, a griddle, a frying pan, whatever might work. So this is a well-used, well-loved Broil King griddle that exactly fits this Regal grill. Flat on one side, grooved on the other. And that is the perfect device for searing scallops. I had the good fortune to cook at Mattapoisett a few years ago with scallops that were caught fresh that day. Just a killer experience, grilling away, looking at the ocean. Scallops, you almost know that they're cooked because you get a texture when you tap on them, like a hard skin on the outside, but it still gives. It's almost like a drumhead. It's hard to explain. You cook a few, you'll get a feeling for it.
It gets that little browning to it. It gets a little crust to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when it's most delicious on the inside and it's nice and tender. What about fish in general? Would we use a basket or do we want to go to a flat surface as well?
It depends on what you're cooking. So whole fish or large fillets in a basket like that, it's a killer way to do it. Any firm fleshed fish you can cook on the grill on its own. Put a nice sear on it, something like tuna, nice chunk of ahi, sear it right on the grill, and then portion it out to serve.
Now, what other types of meats do we want to cook on the grill that you'd like to spend some time with us?
Well, I guess the one category we haven't really touched on is larger cuts of meat. So you have whole chickens, roasts, leg of lamb, things like that. Anything that's big, you can cook on the grill two different ways. You can do them indirect, same technique as we talked for the chicken wings, where you have two outside burners on, middle burner off, and you're cooking in the middle of the grill, relying on that hot air to move around what you're cooking. And the other thing you can do is rotisserie cooking. This grill, the Baron 490 model, has a rotisserie burner, so that goes the full width of the grill. You make a temperature adjustment, it corresponds to the entire grill surface. The spit rod and forks are right there with the burner parallel to it. The burner's beside, not below, so you're limiting flare up, keeping the grill nice and clean and providing really consistent, even heat to do a fabulous job roasting a chicken, prime rib, pork roast, whatever you can fit on there. We should check on the vegetables before we lose them. So got our grilled veggies. Let's see if I can do this with dropping them. So mushroom skewers, those don't have any seasoning or sauce on them, really a little bit of oil. So you get a hoisin based sauce, just olive oil, salt, and pepper. Those are going to be darker. They're going to be a much richer flavor.
They look delicious.
Going to grab my handy dandy grill gloves here. That's a right, need a left. So grilled onion skewer, nice and tender onion. Still going to have that sharp, bright flavor, but you get a lot of the sweetness and richness out of it that way.
Yeah, we retain the flavor in the onion versus just turning it into a byproduct.
Exactly. And peppers, same story. These cooked at 425 or so. You can cook them a little bit higher. You'll get a bit more char on them. Or you can cook them lower. They'll be softer without char.
And you can see that little sear mark on there. It really makes them look delicious.
Yeah, as the saying goes, people eat with their eyes. The food looks better. It's going to taste better. And finally, our asparagus. So first time I've cooked asparagus on a skewer like that. You can see they're a little unsteady, but the result is about where I want it. A little bit of char, still some nice bend to it. That'll be a really good flavor. If you're firing up the grill, you want to have vegetables, main, and side or starch. Starch is optional. If you're going to do a salad, like a fresh summer lunch kind of thing, maybe you don't need a bunch of potatoes to go with it, but you can do, the classic foil pack of potatoes. You can do small roast potatoes in a cast iron pan. And when you do those in the cast pan with some olive oil, cook them for 30, 40 minutes, and then just take your tongs and just squish down ever so slightly so they split open. They'll look like a Pac-Man almost. And then leave them for another 5 minutes, flip them 5 more minutes. What you're doing there is you're cooking some of the moisture out of the potato, that steam's escaping. So you get a fluffier, crunchier, more flavorful potato.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. And your description makes me more hungry. Now, Rich, you mentioned or preluded to meat, steaks.
Yes.
So London broils, T-bones, porterhouses, bone-in versus a meat that's filleted with no bone. What kind of suggestions are you going to roll for us today regarding bone-in or straight meat?
Bone-in steaks can be a little bit trickier to cook because the heat moves through the lean protein differently than the bone. So you're going to have that less cooked section against the bone. Some people really like that. It can be a little bit confounding when it comes to cooking a perfect steak for a crowd, especially a larger cut. So what I'm cooking today are strip loin steaks. They're really easy to grill. They're very forgiving in that it's one pretty consistent chunk of meat. If you're feeding a crowd, you don't have to give everyone a whole steak. If you're going buffet style, take some nice thin slices. It plates beautifully, and it's really good eating. It's a nice compromise between flavor, nice beefy, rich flavor, and tenderness. A filet mignon is fabulously tender, doesn't have as much flavor. And that's why the bacon wrapped filet is such a popular thing.
Because they're adding the fat, and the fat's
Exactly.
what the marbling in the meats what actually provides that flavor, which is kind of the big disguise. You look at a nice lean piece of meat, it's not going to have that same rich flavor as that T-bone or a sirloin that is heavily marbled.
Yeah, sirloin's a great grilling steak, really good value. And if they're cut and trimmed nicely, the sirloin medallion, really good grilling. And for my money, better flavor than a filet. It's not going to be quite as tender. That's sort of the hierarchy, I guess. Ribeyes are great grilling, a little bit trickier to cook because you have that fat cap in the center, the ribeye, if you will, and that leads to more flare up. So you can either reverse sear them. where you put the steak on a cooler grill, 325 or so, bring that temperature up for 40 minutes to an internal temp of 115, 120, and then take it off the grill, let it set while the grill heats up to 500 degrees, and then you're just quickly searing the outside. So you're getting the crust that you want, the doneness that you want, and you don't have to leave it on the grill to cook it past if you've underestimated how long that's going to take.
Well, Rich, to tell you the truth, that was another great secret right there. Because obviously, if you're trying to sear the steak right out of the gate, you have a chance of doing just the opposite, overcooking it and losing its flavor and basically losing that cut of meat. So this makes perfect sense. Get it to the temperature you want on the inside and then sear it. Because the concept would normally be to sear the outside and leave the inside red. But I love that as a suggestion. Great tip, Rich.
Yeah, we try to make it easier for people to be successful on the grill. If you're going to spend money on good steaks, we want to give you the tools to have an awesome experience.
Well, Rich, I understand you have a nice cut of meat for us today that you're going to put on that grill. What do you have for us today, Rich?
I've got some strip loin steaks that I'm going to grill. The strip loin's a really consistent grilling steak. Gives you great flavor. If you're doing full steaks plated, it looks awesome on the plate. If you're doing more of a casual family style meal, you do 3 steaks for 5 people, slice them up nice and thin. They plate awesome. You can do steak sandwiches with these that are going to knock your socks off. Nice, super thin slices, really easy to slice that steak because you're not pulling gristle or fat cap or anything else off of it. It's very clean in that sense.
As far as a recipe goes for those steaks in particular, Rich, I'm kind of a simplistic guy. When I season my steaks, I'm putting on just a crushed pepper and a crushed sea salt. What other type of recommendations would you have for that cut of meat that you're offering us today?
So I'm going to be a company man here. Keep it as simple as possible. That's our Broil King Perfect Steak Marinade. That recipe's on broilkingbbq.com. If you want to make it yourself, you can buy it prepackaged. Really easy to do it that way. The benefit there, you've got a balsamic vinegar base, so it tenderizes the steak slightly, adds a nice sharp flavor to it. There's oil in the marinade, so it's going to keep your meat from sticking to the grill as much. And there's some other ingredients that are very complementary flavors to a great steak.
I guess we're going to get ready to drop that steak on that grill.
All right, let's do it. So this is preheated to 450 or so. Much hotter than that, especially with the oil in the marinade, you're going to get a blowtorch happening when you put the steak on the grill. You want to keep it in that 425 to 475 range. You can go higher than that to sear, but just beware, you're going to get lots of flames. And flare up isn't bad necessarily. You want to be in control of it. So these strips are ready to go. Just going to lay that on there. And this is where I can get super technical and bogged down because I've only done this a few thousand times. I'm going to lay these steaks on at a 2 o'clock angle on the grill. And what I'm going to do then is close the lid and wait.
Are you going to put the diamond sear on one side?
You got it. Both sides.
You need to do one side before you flip it, or do you do one sear side, flip it, then go back and put the diamond pattern on? I thought you wanted to do one side at a time, Rich.
So the technique from the Broil King website, broilkingbbq.com, that shows you how to do this on any cut of steak. There's a grid, depending how thick it is, how you want it done. You go 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And with the flips that you're doing, you get the perfect diamond sear pattern on both sides. The cool thing about steak, you've got 2 sides, so if you screw one up, you can always come back to the other side.
Well, that's great information you just clarified as well. There's been a lot of discussion just in grilling. You cook one side, then you flip the steak once. So if you're going 2 minutes and 2 minutes, you're not going to overcook one side of the steak. You're going to have a uniform sear to both sides.
Exactly.
Some more great advice today, Rich.
Yeah, the old standby single flip on a steak, if you cook the steak and you watch it curl up and some juices pool in the top of the steak, and then you go to flip it, you're just throwing those juices away. That's lost flavor. Now, you're always going to cook moisture out of a cut of meat when you're grilling it, but when you do that, it's literally tightening on one side, squeezing that moisture out of there.
What a great description. Great advice. Actually, the sound of those steaks sizzling right now is very appetizing.
Never gets old.
And also the fact, when you mentioned about flare-ups, the fact that you use the tongs to pull the steaks out from the marinade in the bag prevents your hands from being directly above the flame. So we have another safety issue about just putting the steaks on properly to avoid that flare-up and possibly just catching a finger or something.
This gives you a little more control, but you're a little bit closer to the heat. I always knew I'd been grilling for way too long when I could turn steaks with my bare hands. It's a disgusting problem, but it happens once in a while. I'm out of practice right now, so I have to use my tongs.
Well, Rich, let's take a moment, if we could kindly, while your steaks are sizzling away and you put your tongs down, let's take a moment to review some of the great ideas that you were able to present to us today between vegetables and the chicken baskets and fish and poultry. This will give us a little run through today of the ideas and suggestions and tips that you provided to our listening audience today regarding Broil King, their grills, and some of those great recipes and tips you gave to us today.
Yeah, certainly glad to kind of recap everything we looked at here. We're talking simpler techniques on the grill that you can adapt to a variety of things. We looked at a few accessories that make your life easier. You don't need a grill basket to cook chicken wings. If you've flipped 80 chicken wings on the grill and you see a grill basket, that's the tool for you. So with chicken, I think the answer for most people is cook at a lower temperature than you think. You want to be in that 350 to 400 range, larger pieces closer to 400, smaller pieces 350. And that's on the grill. If you're smoking or something like that, you can go even lower. Vegetables. We've got the vegetables on the skewers. Oil them ahead of time. That's going to add flavor. It's going to make them easier to cook. They're going to stick less. With the skewers, I put like items on each skewer. So I had onions on one, mushrooms on one, peppers on one. And if you're cooking things that cook at slightly different times, you don't end up with an inconsistent bite. You don't have raw onion beside cooked mushroom. You're getting a better result overall. Finally, with steak, preheat your grill, make sure it's clean, 450 to 500 degrees. And one rule of thumb that you want to rely on here, when you go to turn your steak, if you try to pick it up and it sticks to the grill, it's not ready to turn. Let it rest for another 30, 45 seconds. And what happens is that protein that's stuck to the grill, as it cooks, it tightens and it releases.
So allow the meat to come freely from the grill grate. Don't try and rip it from the grate.
Yeah, almost all the time, if it's sticking to the grill, it needs to cook a little bit longer. If it already looks super scorched, you've probably gone too far.
And that would be a simple procedure for chicken and poultry all day long.
Yeah, definitely. Stainless steel grates, when they are brand new, are extremely sticky. So an oil sprayer or a dish with a basting brush and oil, those are your best friend. And you can oil your food instead of oiling the grill. So if you're spraying chicken wings or tossing them in oil before they go on the grill, that oil transfers, it creates that barrier that you want, and it's going to keep the food from sticking a bit.
Well, Rich, today you gave us a lot of great information how to really enjoy cooking outside, cooking our vegetables uniformly, putting them on the proper skewers individually so they all cook uniformly, having the right temperatures for both fish and poultry and steak. We need to be aware of those temperatures so we have a better result when we're putting our food onto those grates. Also, the advice you just gave us now about allowing the meats to release themselves from the surface. This has all been tremendous advice you've provided our listeners with today, Rich. I'd like to thank you for joining us at home today, sponsored by Aubuchon Hardware.
Thanks for having me. Really glad to spend time with you guys. Always happy to chat barbecuing and grilling with people. The easiest way to get in touch with me is on Twitter. My handle is @BBQRich.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. I wish I was there to sample those steaks with you, those chicken wings, and that asparagus. The Broil King grills are fantastic, and they are available at all of your local Aubuchon Hardware stores.
Yes, they are. Thank you again for the opportunity. Glad to do it.
For more information, please visit BroilKingBBQ.com. Thanks for listening to At Home with John Haley.